The question is that the bill be now read a second time. I call the member for Tamworth and Shadow Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise in relation to the Electricity Infrastructure Investment Amendment Priority Networks Projects Bill 2025, and I don't support it, Mr Speaker, because it fills me with fear that the overreach is going to continue when it comes to the land grab that is happening in regional New South Wales as we speak, particularly when it talks about the overview of the bill, and the object of the bill is to amend the Electricity Infrastructure Investment Act 2020 and little bracket A, broaden the meaning of priority transmission infrastructure project to include a priority network infrastructure project, and so it goes on and on with gobbledygook. That tells me that there's more power going away from regional New South Wales, and when I say power, the control of their land and their voice being taken away even further from them when it comes to fighting for their land and fighting for the right to hold on to their country. In my view, Mr Speaker, the renewable energy zones were set up to control and plan the way renewable energy projects were located in regional New South Wales. So there was a zone here and a zone there and a zone here and a zone there, so then they would then be able to be managed in an appropriate way. Well, unfortunately, the unintended consequence of that is that there is a renewable energy freight train and it is out of control. In my area, we have the Queensland New South Wales interconnector high voltage transmission lines running from Queensland down to the Hunter Valley. They pass through a section of the Tamworth electorate, and what's happening is that opportunistic renewable energy projects are seeing the planning for that particular route of the high voltage transmission towers to be set up and those lines to be set up and run by EnergyCo. And they are setting up these projects underneath that transmission tower and those lines so they can hook up and get access to the grid. So it is clear case of there's the power lines, that's where they're going. We are going to come in and set up these renewable energy projects, and the majority in my area, given the topography that I have in the Tamworth electorate, they are majority solar farms. Well, you really can't call them farms, they're factories, these solar factories, and they are setting up in areas that are prime agricultural land. And I take great exception to the member for Monaro who comes from down south and says he doesn't like the fact that their agricultural land prices are going up. He doesn't like the fact that people are getting cranky that their land is being taken away, and he doesn't like the fact that, you know, referring to prime agricultural land, well, some of it's marginal, some of it's in goat country. Well, I would encourage the member for Monaro to get out of his little bubble every now and again and go for a bit of a cruise around regional New South Wales. Well, he actually was in Tamworth the other day, God bless him. He didn't bother to give me a call, and lots of TAFE teachers did, and they were not happy that he was there. But we'll talk about that another day. Particularly in relation, unlike the Emergency Services Minister, I noticed the interjection where he does let me know when he comes to my area, and we do catch up, and I really appreciate that. No, that's right. And I really appreciate that fact that he does let me know, and we do get on well, and that's how you get good policy, when you do work together. But I just don't feel that this bill is working toward the outcome of what we want in relation to the harmonisation of renewable energy projects and prime agricultural land. Years ago, Mr Speaker, in the Tamworth electorate, it used to be land use conflict was mining and agriculture. Now it's renewable energy projects and agriculture. Not because people don't want renewable energy projects. It's purely about the location. It's purely about the fact that they are not in the appropriate location. We want healthy rivers, healthy farms, healthy communities. We want cheaper electricity prices. But what we don't want is these projects, these large infrastructure projects being forced upon us in areas that are splitting the community, that is pitting landholder against landholder, neighbour against neighbour. And in some instances in a small town, for example, like Nundle, where the wind farm was up on the hill and has subsequently been approved, split the town in half. This is a small, beautiful rural community setting that has been split in half as a result of a particularly large-scale renewable energy project. And again, it's not a case of not wanting them, it's a case of put them in the right location. So we're finding in our area, the consultation and the real concerns that are being expressed by landholders in relation to this issue is just clearly not being heard. The IPC has been to my area to hear a number of projects, impassioned pleas from landholders about the impacts, and they've been well known and well documented, and they just get swept under the carpet and they are just not taken into consideration whatsoever. I firmly believe that the planning system is out of touch. The rules and regulations that are currently governing the renewable energy projects are not keeping pace with the large-scale projects that are being proposed. 10 or 15, 20 years ago, the rules and regulations were different than what they are now. And again, the renewable energy zones have their place, but what the unintended consequence is, they're just popping up all over the place in regional New South Wales. So, the effect of the renewable energy zones is virtually null and void. So planning needs to step up. Planning needs to be brought kicking and screaming into this environment to completely understand the unintended consequences that are now occurring as a result of what was probably a good idea with the renewable energy zones a little while ago. And I'm looking forward to doing some work with my colleagues in the National Party about what that looks like going forward, to put some protections in place for our regional people, particularly landholders that are suffering. There needs to be appropriate areas, and I think that that's something that is not taken into consideration. The energy planning guidelines have not worked well, and I think that what we do need to do is take into consideration not just the renewable energy projects like solar and wind, but now we have battery energy storage systems popping up all over the place as well, to supplement the electricity that will be put into the grid and ultimately prevent the blackouts and the brownouts that everybody tells us that we're going to be getting. But still, we are seeing those, and we're a long way off from that balance that will see renewable energy and the traditional coal-fired power stations continue to provide that supply. A lot of work needs to be done. The planning department needs to stump up. It needs to look at the rules and regulations in relation to allowing these projects, the location of them, and the impact, the cumulative impact that it has on communities. Because what might be good in relation to bringing electricity prices down, I do not believe on the mental health side of things, where you've got landholders who are now suddenly becoming renewable energy experts. They're spending their hard-earned, in a cost of living crisis, spending their hard-earned on submissions and hiring lawyers to fight for them in the quest to protect their own land. So significant work needs to be done. This bill before the House frightens me that it is going to broaden, as it says, broaden the meaning of priority transmission infrastructure. I think in certain areas it's out of control now. Significant work needs to be done. We want to embrace renewable energy, but when you go about locking up prime agricultural land, it's very hard to embrace it when you're pitting farmer against farmer, landholder against landholder, community against community. A lot of work needs to be done. Planning needs to be at the forefront of that. I look forward to bringing some work forward with my Nationals colleagues about how to get this right, get the balance right, and protect regional New South Wales.